All right, Mr. Winthy, we're going to have a conversation about my observation from yesterday. So I've got a few questions that I'd like to hear your thoughts on, and we'll get some answers written down. And I'm going to let you do most of the talking and just kind of be a listener for you.
Okay.
All right, first question I've got for you. What was the objective of the lesson that you presented yesterday?
I wanted students to have a better understanding of slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b.
Okay. Can you elaborate on what you did yesterday during the lesson?
It was kind of a review as a work day. I had spent the prior day teaching what it was, but after the students started working, I noticed that a lot of reteaching needed to be taken place. So I just went back to the basics and explained what each part of the equation meant and how they could use that.
Okay. And then at the end of the lesson, what do you feel like they got accomplished?
I think they started getting a little more clear picture of points on a coordinate plane and a little better understanding of how slope worked with the equation.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed during your lesson that you had to go back and reteach some of the more fundamental concepts before you could actually get them to understand the slopes. That was good. Why did you feel the need to go back and reteach?
The students in my algebra class come to me with very little math skills, some of them. So even the basic adding and subtracting is a difficult concept for them. So then to throw the algebra concepts in with it, it adds to their anxiety and their frustrations within class, which you saw a lot of the behaviors because of that.
Okay. All right. So kind of moving on to reflective, what do you think was the most successful part of the lesson you presented yesterday?
I think the students knowing that I will step back for them to help them move forward. I think they know that I understand where they're starting from and where they're coming from, and what I will need to do within the classroom to help them be successful.
Okay. And then on the flip side of that, what was the most frustrating part of the lesson yesterday?
Some of the students just not being focused up on the lesson, focusing up on each other's behaviors more than what I'm actually teaching. They'd rather spend their time in class doing something they know how to look for negative behavior in each other, so they do that instead of the difficult part, which is the learning the algebra concepts.
Okay. So that kind of leads into my next question about student engagement, because you did have a lot of intervening happening and a lot of students that clearly they know the norms, but they're not practicing that well. So what could you do in the future to increase student engagement?
I think one of the things that actually I did in class was I told them they couldn't intervene each other, which is, it's tough for me to make that call, but sometimes I just make that decision because I know they will focus up more in class. But as you saw, I set a timer for it. You have to wait, and as soon as the timer went off, they disengaged from what I was doing back into their old routine. So maybe increase that time or get more hands-on type activities or get them up and moving around.
Okay. Was the timer something you tried before, or was that the first time?
That was true. That was the first time that I tried it, and I think they can only probably last for so long. So I put 15 minutes on, and it seemed to be about right. I might try 20 minutes today to see if that works too.
Okay. And then, since you did go back and do some reteaching, and it seemed like the students were understanding the concept by the end of the class period, what impact did the results of what you taught them have on your future plans?
I will probably revisit it again today just to make sure it's a little more concrete. One of the things I might do today is have a ticket out the door to assess what we've been doing to see if they have any, to see if they can show some understanding of the content. Sometimes I do it at the beginning of class. Today I might just do it at the end of class.
Okay. In the future, what skills do you wish you could further develop to improve your lessons?
Just making sure I can find ways to keep them engaged for more percentage of the class than I am right now. I know their frustration level is high because of, I probably have 12 out of the 18 students that are behind where the expectation is for the class just because of where they came in academically. And just finding some more elementary type skills for them to use that would help show understanding of the algebra concepts.
Okay. And then yeah, that kind of leads into the next question as well. What will you do in the future to create more engagement for your students? Can you think of any strategies that might help with engagement?
I'm going to try to get them up moving. I have an idea today to have each of the kids be a point or a slope or an intercept where I can actually have on the board where they come and stand in front and you're going to just replace the number. Because I think sometimes I have a hard time understanding that the letter is representing a number, so that way that person can be the number and just stand in front of that letter so they can see that visualization.
All right. Thank you for your time, Mr. Winthy.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Yep.